I want to talk to you a little bit about getting into a startup, an AI startup specifically, or even a fintech startup. If you're interested in joining startups, this video is for you. But how do we do it? What is it that you need to do to get noticed by a startup or decision makers in startups? I would speak to founders. I would speak to CFOs. And if you're applying for jobs with startups, you'll notice that they generally get a lot more applications because they're a lot more attractive for job seekers who have transferable skills, no experience, also a lot of experience. So you're kind of competing against larger market saturation than you would otherwise. So, what do you need to think about when potentially joining a startup? If you looked at any of my other videos, I talk a lot about being able to know what you're looking for, backing it up with why, and also having a delivery mechanism that actually shows your profile to decision makers very strategically and directly. Now, startups are great for people who don't have experience because they're very good places to build experience quickly. You're going to get more responsibilities than an average role. You're going to deal with a leadership team quite closely. You're going to see how businesses are made. You're going to think on your feet. You're going to have to deploy a lot of soft skills. You're going to think about adaptability, communication. Company culture is going to be something you want to talk about quite aggressively as well. And joining a startup is an amazing experience because you can learn in 6 months what you would in a normal role in 2 to 3 years. In some cases, not all cases. So you have to join the right startup. But if that interests you and you don't have a lot of experience, then great. It's an amazing place to join. If you're an international job seeker, a lot of startups now, because they get a lot of private funding, look for international talent. So if you're in the US, the UK, Europe, wherever you are, you could look at startups that are doing really well and actually hiring people very quickly and able to offer sponsorship. Now, let's say you've got experience in a field and you want to get out of that field. Let's say you're a teacher and you decide, you know what, I've worked in a very traditional hierarchical space. I want to work in something a little bit more fast paced to build a new skill set. So equally, like if you're entry level, if you're transferable as a skill, let's say you're a teacher, you're in the military, you want to join, let's say, a corporate environment, but not too corporate, startups could be great. Now, how do you get the attention of people in startups? I want you to think about founders. Founders are constantly on LinkedIn. They're constantly responding to emails. They're dealing with investors. They're dealing with vendors. They're dealing with their staff. They're dealing with new people testing their products. They're probably the easiest people to reach out to. You're not messaging the founder of an investment bank or a director of an investment bank. You're not emailing Jamie Dimon in JP Morgan. You're emailing and messaging and connecting to someone who has their finger on the pulse with their company. You could ask questions, and please do not ask this one. Hey, here's my CV. Can I get a job? That is the worst thing to send. So please, 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 and especially if you're watching my videos, you're probably not sending that. And if you are, welcome to my videos. That's not something we want to send. But you're asking questions about the policy. You're asking questions about the product, why the company is investing into that area. How many investors do they have that take their human capital seriously? What targets they have when they're hiring specific soft skills, company culture, work style. That's something we talk about on this channel quite often because that is something that is moving the needle when companies hire you. Companies are no longer interested in how much direct experience you have only. Now, please don't get what I said in a different way. They are interested in your experience, but not as much as they did 10 years ago. So right now, transferable skills, company culture, work style, soft skills. If you're dealing with founders, they care about these things. If you have no experience and it's a communication role and you're great at communication, it's your job to get the attention of a founder to effectively explain how you can fit into that role. Founders are accessible more than ever. LinkedIn is your new best friend to speak to founders, to get them to recommend you to the head of HR or a hiring manager. I want you to think about it this way. Let's say you get the attention of a founder and you say to them, or you ask them a question about the policy of their company when it comes to hiring people with a specific soft skill, or it's about the product, or you've maybe even purchased the product that they developed and you like it, you want to give some feedback, and then you use that as a guise to get the attention of the founder to then ask, could that founder send you the name of the hiring manager? And could he put a good word in? I mean, the owner of the company putting a good word in for you to the hiring team carries a lot of weight. So you want to use sort of corporate socio-dynamics here to get the owner of the company to recommend you internally. I mean, think about that. Founders are the most easiest people to get the attention of in a startup, and they carry the strongest weight when it comes to recommendations. So why not aim high? Now, I hear a lot of you saying, but Milo, I mean, founders, they're owners of businesses. Why do they have time to speak to me? Why wouldn't they have time to speak to you? You're going to literally grow their company for them. So you're going to join the existing team. They're aggressively hiring in most cases. If you're in the UK right now, the UK is getting so much investment in AI. Europe is getting so much investment in AI. The US is competing with everybody. So why not? I mean, now's the time to do it. If you've tried with the founder and you're still waiting for them to come back to you, you've got other people as well. CFOs. CFOs are perfect. CFOs, chief financial officers, know exactly how much money is coming into the company in the startup. They know who every decision maker is below them. They work with the hiring team quite aggressively in terms of dealing with recruiters, how much they have to pay to recruiters. And startups don't like spending money that they don't have to when it comes to vendors, but they are happy to invest money into staff. So CFOs are probably telling the hiring managers not to pay the recruiters because they want to find staff themselves. Now, recruiters charge 20 to 30% to actually hire you. If a recruiter deals with you and they say, I'm going to get you a 50K role, and they put you into a startup, that startup owes them 10 to 15,000 pounds or dollars. Now, if you approach a startup directly, you remove the price tag. So you can literally consume that as a cost into your salary. And who best to speak to that about it than the CFO? Now, if you speak to the founder, you speak to the CFO, you then want to move to the COO, Chief Operating Officers. Chief Operating Officers have great relationships with founders. Founders probably selected them because of their operational capacity and efficiency. So dealing with them can carry a lot of nice recommendations. These are people who run businesses, who have the most amount of power and strength in a company, and you want to use that to your advantage. So when you're thinking about getting into a startup, still apply. I'm not telling you not to apply, but what carries more weight is the people you speak to, the decision makers. You want to do everything that you can to get their attention. Now, if you've seen any of my videos, I talk a lot about sending messages, networking, being able to ask intelligent questions. Some of my other videos will actually help you develop your own pitch in terms of what you can send to founders, what you can send to hiring managers, CFOs, COOs. If you need a strategy that's customized to you, there's a link in the description. You can apply to work with me, and I can create a strategy that helps you get into a startup. Equally, if you want to just connect with me on LinkedIn and follow some of the other content, please do. I've left a description in the description bar below the video. And last thing I'll ask you, in usual Milo fashion, like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. It means the world to me, and I'll see you on the next one.